we're going to start with the NFL draft. And, you know, when I sent out our customary post on Twitter to let people know that we're ready to rev it up and get going, Charleston Rambo was the first name that came to mind for me. So I looked up a Charleston Rambo picture to say, that's the guy I'm thinking first and foremost. But who do you think's coming off the board first? Would it be him or somebody else?
First of all, I don't think it's going to be anybody on Thursday. So the first round, not going to have a Miami Hurricane name called unless something completely off the board happens, right? I just don't think that we have produced anybody for this cycle of that caliber, right? There is no Jalen Phillips. There is no Greg Rousseau. There is no Philip Dorsett, who, you know, when you run sub 4.3, you know, okay, you go in the first round. There is no Eric Flowers even, who went top 10. You know, yeah, I see it.
It was a Michigan helmet.
That's why I didn't complain, because it was the winged helmet, but I appreciate it. But yeah, there's nobody who even is a projectable athlete, you know, where it's, you know, Russo or David Njoku or something like that of this class. So I don't think I'm very confident there's not going to be anybody on Thursday. Friday for rounds 2 and 3, I would say, you know, maybe look at Charleston Rambo, just because I know he ran a little slower than he wanted to, but you come to Miami for 1 year and you put your name in the record books, you know, a few times, you know, with the history of wide receivers. And I mean, you can do this at every position in Miami because the legacy of our program. But to, you know, get your name up there for yards and catches in a single season at the top, you know, pretty impressive. So I think he's a guy that maybe you can look at in the 3rd, maybe 4th round. Bubba Bolden is a guy who could be, you know, maybe in that 3rd round. I know that he had designs probably towards that 2nd round, but he would have needed to have a stronger season. And just, I mean, he's a very athletic guy, so he tested well. So that's going to be great. Zach McLeod, who, you know, I've been talking about on here for 7 years. You know, but the thing that I was most impressed by when he first came on the radar as a junior at Santa Lucia Senior High School was his athleticism. And he tested incredibly athletically. So he's a guy who maybe comes from the UDFA board, maybe into that 6th, 7th round. You know, and there's other guys out there. De'Aaron King, it really comes down to, I mean, he's older, so I don't know what his prospects are, but also it'll be very interesting to see if he gets picked, what they're going to say, because he's going pro in something other than quarterback. You know, it's almost like that old NCAA commercial, going pro in something other than sports. He can go pro in sports, but he's not playing quarterback. He's 5'9.5", you know, and you have multiple injuries that have zapped some of the electric athleticism that made you really incredible as a quarterback. You know, so there's another guy, Jared Williams, Cameron Harris, John Ford, Amari Carter, Navon Donaldson. That kind of rounds out the group. So it's a smaller group than normal, especially with the extra COVID year. So you got some guys who came back. Obviously, with the transfer landscape, which we're going to get into later, guys moved around the country. So some are still here, some are other places. But I would say you're really going to be looking 3rd round is probably going to be where you're going to hear the first name called. Anything before that is going to be a bonus for that player. And really, in terms of raising the profile in the draft in the future, you're going to be looking at 2023 and beyond.
That gave me an idea for a Miami-related NFL draft segment to take the prime Miami years of dominance, 1984 or 5, probably that draft, and then go through maybe 03 or 04, and then this might be a little bit too involved, but I'd have to pluck out all the other major powers and then make the comparison. Unless I could find a site that would break that down for me.
You know, everybody loves a good research project, so we can talk about it.
So I would like to do that. That would be interesting. So I'm anticipating Miami coming out on top of overall picks and #1 selections for that 20-plus year.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were clearly, I think we had the record in that span for #1 draft picks, especially with the 2001 team that had all those guys who ended up getting drafted, in the first round. So something like that. But yeah.
Okay. So we're looking at 3 to 4 get drafted max, correct?
This year of the 8, I'd put the over under at like 3.5.
You went through.
I mean, if you're in the 4 or 5 range of those guys, of players drafted, that's pretty good.
You went through the Bubba Bolden profile.
Yeah.
He just had an odd career.
Really did. Played well at USC, started, was going to be starting, had that fight at a party incident, got kicked out of school there, or suspended from University of California system schools. No, sorry, because USC is a private school. Got kicked out of USC for a calendar year. Goes to somewhere else like the JUCO. They're like, okay, cool, you're going to come back. And he's like, actually, I'm going to transfer to Miami. Comes to Miami, and through the first part of his first year here, had an argument at a time, and I said it on this video, of being the best defensive player in America, highlighted by that game at Louisville. And I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. He made a tackle 2 yards on a 2-yard gain on the right sideline. They go no huddle. He makes a tackle on the other sideline for a 2-yard gain the next play, 53.5 yards apart, literally sideline to sideline. They couldn't do anything to get away from him, because you're like, cool, we're going to go this way. He's there. Well, if we go the other way, he's not going to be there. Johnny on the spot, number 21. And then the bottom fell out. Just everything that he was doing well in terms of tackling, in terms of coverage, in terms of instincts, in terms of physicality, in terms of disruption. Just, it was like Dr. Evil, he stole Austin Powers' mojo. It just wasn't the same guy, absent an injury or anything, playing in the same. It just didn't make any sense. And then he was okay, but yeah, it was a really interesting path for him here.
Yeah, you outlined that series of plays for us, and what caught my eye in that particular game, because that was the second game of the season, correct?
Second or third.
So Miami played somebody that they wiped out, and this was a primetime game, ESPN game. It was a big deal, and they're playing Louisville, who was coming off a nice season and supposed to be good that year. And the thing that caught my eye was, here was a guy who, now you've got guys that lay out jaw-dropping, jaw-jarring kind of hits, like just level people, but rarely I'd ever seen or could not think of somebody that almost tackled in a beautiful way. Like, his tackling technique was like picture perfect, classic, like wrapping guys up and just.
So he was like the square your shoulders, drive your hips, or drive your feet, through the guy. Mix that with the rugby style rolling kind of thing that they were doing, and you get that together. Yeah, he did well, but it wasn't always that there.